if you don't know me, you should know that that is a huge accomplishment because DGen is the ultimate procrastinator, and there's nobody better. I can guarantee you of that. Like, if procrastination was a degree in college, I would have written the materials for it.
Casino trip, full of chips. Wanna flip, double it.
Welcome to the Full of Chips podcast, the only chips you'll never lose, where the stakes are high, the takes are bold, and the conversations are always full of chips. With your hosts, Chris, the Dice Degen, and Craig from Old Bay Craps. You're tuned in to Full of Chips, the podcast where we dive into our own experiences into the world of gambling and share stories straight from the casino floor. Whether you're a recreational gambler, a seasoned pro, or just curious what the buzz is all about, you're in the right place. Each week, we break down the games, talk to the experts, and bring you tips that could tilt the odds in your favor. So grab your lucky charm, stack your chips, and let's roll into today's episode.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 33 of the Full of Chips podcast, the only chips you will never lose, with your hosts, Chris the Dice Degen and Craig from Old Bay Craps. Craig, how are we today?
How are we? We are, you know what? We're grateful. We're grateful that we've been able to reach one person in this world that FOC has made a difference. And that makes us feel good.
There you go. Hopefully it's more than one person, but
That's true.
got
You have to start with
got some.
one.
It starts with one.
Yeah.
It always starts with one. Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm loving the feedback, comments. So if you have any comments or feedback, fullofchipspodcast@gmail.com. Comment on the videos, on YouTube, Spotify. If you're in Patreon and want to send us a message there, go for it. Um, let us know. Let us know. You like something, you don't like something. That's just as valuable as telling me that you like something. Because if you tell me you don't like something, I can maybe make a change.
Remember,
or I can just ignore you.
Negative press is still press.
Negative press is still press. You have a lot of negative press surrounding you there, mister.
Jesus. Could we have any more in the last 72 hours?
I don't know about that.
The Ravens. We're not up for the what the Fox segment today, but how about a mini Fox? Because Jesus, the Ravens throw us for a loop, do some monumental move with Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raiders, and it just blows up so quick on Monday morning that you didn't even have enough time to think about it. 2 first-round draft picks for a defensive end. Now, granted, 5-time Pro Bowler, fantastic. 28 years old, still in his prime. However, he does have a knee issue. Did they know about it beforehand? I think they did. Did they call their own 5 doctors to re-look at all the x-rays and all the medical info on Max Crosby, only to determine that we don't think he would be a good fit 3 years in, the longevity that we need from a player? He would be good for 1 year probably with the way his knee is, which he just had surgery 2 months ago, right? 2 months ago he had surgery on his meniscus. And I've talked to some people and they say that, that's nothing, but don't give me the BS. It's going to rip us long term, like some other deals have done in the past. But the Ravens, to their credit, have actually bumped. I think 3 other times they bumped based on a poor physical or not passing the physical, and they decided not to do the trade. Now, here's the sketchy shit. This is the what the fuck. Apparently, the Ravens, who now pursued Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals with a 4-year deal for $100 million, apparently they were on the phone with him when Max Crosby was still in the building. Still in the building. That's cold. That's cold, brother.
Yeah, it is. And then they cover their ass by saying, we wanted both of them. No way in hell are you paying 2 defensive ends $30+ million a year. No. That was such an ass covering job. And I guess, first of all, props to whoever thought of that, because that's some shit like I would come up with, like
Right.
on the spot to cover my ass. But any football fan, any fan of the NFL knows you're not paying the same position that much money on both sides. Hell no. Hell no.
Not even close. What makes them good business is they got their 2 first-round draft picks back and they put a player off for a 4-year deal.
Yeah,
So like I told you, Chris, all day long, and I've told others, I'd rather have 2 first-round draft picks back with a 4-year deal with a player than to have one player and lose 2 first-round draft picks this year and next season.
100%. I can tell you the Ravens were almost deserving of the FOC FOS award.
Almost.
However, there's a more deserving candidate, believe it or not. There's a
Who?
more deserving candidate. But first, we have to get into what we're drinking because I think I might need just a few more sips before I get into the FOC FOS award. So, Craig, what are you drinking tonight?
All right. Well, I'm going to go against the grain because not with my drink, but then I'm going to use my right hand, my throwing hand, which we know is faux pas. If you're at the casino, if you're throwing with the same hand you're throwing dice, you're a fucking idiot. But I'm going to do it tonight because it's a podcast and I'll have time to dry off my hand before I get to AC in 2 weeks. So tonight we're doing the penultimate dip into the bullet bourbon with Diet Coke, a little
There
bit
you
of Diet
go.
Coke.
A little bit of Diet Coke. There you go. I'm feeling festive today. Because this episode is going to drop on the 16th of February,
The day
I think.
before St.
The
Pat.
day before St. Patty's Day. So someone at home is already like, DJ's got a Guinness. No, DJ does not have a Guinness because DJ does not like Guinness. I will drink a singular Guinness per year, and that is on St. Patrick's Day, and I only do it for the vibes, not because I actually like it. And if I could chug Guinness, I would, but I can't because it makes me want to vomit. But I have Irish coffee. So I
Ooh.
have a little bit of coffee with a lot of bit of Jameson.
Jameson. Is that your
Yes.
is that your primary versus Kahlua?
So I don't put like I know a lot of people claim an Irish coffee, Kahlua, Bailey's. That's like the white girl version of Irish coffee. The Irish drink it with whiskey.
There you go. There you
There
go.
you go.
There's
Yes.
your answer. But
Listen,
but
just bring in
DJ will
facts.
white girl some stuff, so don't be fooled. He doesn't.
Oh, don't be fooled. DJen is the ultimate white girl. But DJen's gonna go on a little white girl rant right now for the FOC FOS award because this one, Craig, I know we were talking about like little small awards that we need to give out.
Yeah.
Not
trophies.
for this one. This one needs to be a massive Stanley Cup style trophy for this
Nice.
one. For a special rendition of the FOC FOS award for Mark DeRosa. All right. For anyone at home who doesn't know, Mark DeRosa is the skipper of the U.S. baseball team in the World Baseball Classic in 2026. Playing right now. Craig, do you know how much of a moron this guy is?
How much, Chris?
So this idiot, I mean certified idiot, decided that he knew the rules and his whole team knew the rules. His team gets this award also by extension. They knew the rules of the World Baseball Classic. So he went on a podcast yesterday and said that the U.S. had punched their ticket to the quarterfinals. And they had a game against Italy last night. And they were like, oh, yeah, we want to win, of course. But, like, we don't have to win. This idiot doesn't know the rules. They had to win last night. As minus 1,100 favorites to a bunch of guys sipping espresso in the fucking dugout. They lost. Now, I'm partially Italian, all right? So props to my Italian baseball team, all right? Good for you. However, this is the one sport the U.S. should beat everybody in besides American football, but no other country plays that, right? The U.S. is supposed to be good at baseball. Anyway, they got a moron of a coach who, we're in already. No, you're not. So now I'm sitting over here. I had the score up for the Mexico-Italy game because the U.S. is in jeopardy of missing the quarterfinals of their own friggin' tournament because their coach doesn't know how the tiebreakers work. So they need Italy to win tonight or Mexico to score more than 5 runs tonight.
Are they
I
currently?
mean, how can
have
you
they
screw
started
that up?
yet? Have they started?
Oh, they started. They started.
What's the score?
It's let me refresh. Let me refresh the browser so I give the most up-to-date current information. Bottom of the second, Italy is up 1-0.
And how much did the What was the score of the U.S. game yesterday?
8-6. He rested half the starters because these guys were all out partying the night before. He literally said on the press conference that these guys all came in banged up today. Yeah, let me show up to
Not
work
good.
banged up. Let me see how my boss thinks about that.
Yeah, you can't quite do your job when you're fucked up from the night before. Hangovers don't work
No,
well at work.
no, they don't. And I mean, this is a U.S. created tournament, and these idiots are going to miss it because now, mind you, they're going to be 3-1. They are 3-1 in pool play, but they still couldn't miss it because they don't know their own damn rules. So now we need Italy to win tonight as pretty big dogs. They're like plus 275 on the money line tonight, by the way. Shout out Aaron Nola, though, who's pitching. Philly pitcher. He's pitching for Italy tonight. So hopefully he's got his stuff. I watched the first inning. He looked okay. But we all know, as Philadelphia Phillies fans, we all know Aaron Nola is good for like a few innings. And then, God forbid, he gets a little rattled. Next thing you know, there's a 10 spot up on the board. And you're like, what happened?
Jesus. What an
Oh,
idiot.
man. What an idiot. So deserving of the FOC FOS Award because I'll be honest with you, I was so ready to give it to the Ravens. I really was. And I know that would have hurt you. But
It would have been deserving, though. It would have
it
been
would have been
deserving.
deserved. But this guy, I mean, he makes what the Ravens did look like, whatever.
And you know what?
Unbelievable.
A year from now, it'll be like, whatever.
Yeah. But still, it's like now it's a problem. And I have a problem with this, not because I'm a big baseball fan. All right. Don't get this twisted. DGen is not the biggest baseball fan. DGen is just a fan of the United States. All right. DGen likes when his teams do well. And I root for the teams, right? In the Olympics. Shit, I'm watching cross-country skiing and other bullshit. Why? Because I want to see the U.S. win. I'm watching baseball that I could care less about because I want to see the U.S. win.
Let's be honest. There's no U.S. person winning cross country or the
No,
biathlon. No.
no, definitely not. I mean, you got to come from like Norway for that. They breed them for that.
Right.
For Sweden. But anyway, Craig, enough of DGen just getting heated about this Mark DeRosa clown. I mean, you look up clown in the dictionary, his face is right there. And people, oh, he's good coach, good coach. No, he's an idiot. All right. From one coach, as a former coach myself, to this guy, you suck. Hang up your clipboard, never come back. But
you've earned it. You've earned it.
you have earned it. All right, Craig. That's enough of DJ on the high horse here about coaching. What are we talking about tonight?
Being that we're on episode double DGen, episode 33. Personally, I'd like to call it episode Eddie Murray. He was 33 on the Orioles. That's how I see it, but we all see things differently. So in today's episode, we'll be talking about the full arc of a casino session from the moment you reach for your wallet to the moment you choose how to play the next hand or roll. This is going to be mainly probably about craps because we're geared up for the AC 10 times tier multiplier coming up in a couple of weeks. So we're pretty craps focused. Plus, Chris and I have been putting out videos right and left, including let's give a shout out to our brethren Sideshow Gamble, who's also been putting out. We're just rotating schedules, I think, with putting out videos. So it's fun again. You know, we're doing what we love. We're doing what got us into the channels, and it's pretty cool. But today we're going to be talking about when you bring the money, the way you behave, the way you think, and the way you decide during a casino session. And again, we're going to be talking mainly about craps. So topic one, which comes into the bring part of it, right? Do table buy-ins dictate experience? What do you think, Chris?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think subconsciously people like to think that when somebody whips out a large bankroll and drops it on the table, instantly, like, they know more about the game than everybody else, or they have more experience, or like they know something, or whatever it may be. It seems like a lot of times when people see that large buy-in, it's instantly like, I have to see what this guy is doing. And then you do start to see some people like actually kind of mirror those bets, even if they had a completely different plan or whatever it may be. But buy-in at the table to me means nothing. Like, if you buy in for $100, if you buy in for $100,000, congratulations, you'll get me to look at you when you buy in for $100,000, or if you buy in for even a few grand, like, I'll look over. But that doesn't tell me that you're experienced in the game and you know anything. And I don't think people should assume that because people are buying in for a large amount, that it instantly means they have a ton of knowledge on the game, because quite often that's the furthest thing from the truth. It's just somebody who has a lot of money. You don't know. Maybe they have a lot of money and they can do it, or could be the opposite. They don't have any money, but they're buying in for everything they have on the table, and they're just going to play,
They turn
right?
it into
Which
something,
again,
right?
yeah, and we advise never to gamble with money you cannot afford to lose.
No, you're a fact. Those are facts. We've seen people buy in at blackjack $5,000, and what do? They're playing $1,000 a hand, and what do? They lose all 5 hands. So no, it does not dictate experience a large buy-in. I wanted to kind of bring in, dealer perspectives versus player perspectives of a buy-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we started with the dealer, right? The dealer clocks your buy-in as like a first impression, and the player who's buying in for 100, dealers may have already thought about, oh, I'm in for a long night, no dealer bets, but if it's a large buy-in, they may be thinking to themselves, all right, this player is getting some extra customer service. But it doesn't signal confidence. It doesn't signal experience having a large buy-in. And small buy-ins don't really signal cautionary player or a new player. Some people
Mm-hmm.
just want to buy in small. Some people do have plans with large buy-ins, and some people have plans with small buy-ins. Now, the majority that we see, and we're going off experience, I just went to my local last Friday night, and I told Chris this. I said there were 2 to 3 people that bought in for $25 and $30, and they are what our sister podcasts call ferrets. They just hung around the table long enough to throw a prop bet out there, and they were gone. like, and like they're buying. You know how they say don't buy in with $50 bills? These people are buying in with $5 bills.
Hate
Like,
to see
get the
that.
fuck out of here! You're wasting my time. But
Yes,
again, a person buying in for $100 may only be looking to win 150. I've done it myself. I've bought in for 100, played a little system that Ed had for the don't pass, and once I made $52, I walked. That was my plan. But the dealer, yeah, the dealer did give me a look like, well, he's not really going to do much. He'll be up and out of here pretty quick. Um,
yeah,
Neither is good or bad, but both change how the dealer adapts their tone and pace of play.
for sure.
We've seen dealers who, and I guess we've seen it more on a private table, maybe. On a private table, you've seen a dealer be more attentive and be faster with returning money and paying out past line and odds, um, versus a casual table where it's just some Friday night and you got some locals coming in, and the dealers, won't stop chit chat. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen it in AC, and those dealers, some of them just fucking talk, and it's like, shut up. But that's beside the point. But from a player's perspective, if you're buying in for a big stack, you may attract curiosity, like you said, from around the table. And there might be some expectations of what people think they're going to see for that night. But you and I have seen people buy in large and just go 640 across or 1200 across, or they do $1,000 horn bet, and they're like reaching for their wallet after one roll, not one shooter. They're reaching for their wallet after one roll.
Yep.
Um, Small stacks, they attract assumptions. I think, when I bought in for 100, there weren't many people at the table. In fact, they only had half a table open, and there was maybe one other person at the table. But me buying in for 100, getting a little, and they don't. Of course, they try to stretch it out for you, but oftentimes they'll just give you that 100 in reds, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
thanks. Like, you could have given me 2 greens and the rest reds, but you gave me all reds because you assume I'm just going to play the prop bets and be up and out of here and not have a
Yeah.
plan. You know, but there's definitely bias in what you're buying in for and what you're bringing to the table. What do you think about that? Anything?
No, I agree totally. And like from the dealer perspective, right? Um, you brought up a good point. You buy in for more, you might get a little better customer service because the dealers are working for tips, right?
Right.
And typically speaking, people who are buying in for more have the ability to win more, which most people are tipping when they win, right? Not the case, obviously, for a lot of people. not saying that winning is not the case, but saying like large buy-ins, even average, medium-sized buy-ins. I mean, like speak for like the AC crew and stuff. Like, I mean, we tip generously regardless if we're winning or losing, right? For the
Right.
most part, depending if there's specific dealers who are persona non
Worthy of the
grata.
worthy of the bets.
Yes, exactly. But I think like for dealers, they see so much that it doesn't really impact them that much unless it's a very large buy-in, right? The small buy-in, I definitely like. You could definitely get like an eye roll, or when they hand crinkled up $5 bills in, like that's going to get a dealer's attention, and you're going to piss a dealer off, right? But
Yeah.
I think for dealers, they're there all the time. They see it all the time. Like for them, the buy-in range is so large that probably none of it really affects them. I think for players though, it's a lot different, right? Like you see somebody buy in big and like instantly you're like distracted by what they're doing, right? And I mean, I've seen it, right? We've seen it in Atlantic City. That my favorite example of this though was in Vegas. I was playing at the Cromwell in Vegas. Older gentleman shows up right to his spot in the hook and takes a $10,000 marker, right? He's going through all the trouble to take his $10,000 marker, gets the chips cut out, and, the dealers give out. And typically, for the folks at home who don't know, if you're buying in for 10 G's or if you're buying in for even a few grand, right? Like you're getting large chips in front of you. You're not
Right.
getting reds and greens, right? You may get some greens, but you're really not going to get them that often. You're going to get black, you're going to get purples, and you may get some greens. All right. You're not
But a
getting
little bit
reds,
of
though. I can
that
tell you that.
a little bit of that is a bias by the dealer because the casino wants you to bet the bigger
Yes.
chip with the
Mm-hmm.
bigger buy-in.
Oh, yeah.
I was at the Flamingo and I only bought in it was a morning coffee run and it was only $100 because I was on my way to Craps for the Cure, right? For the, like day one. And I went there and when I gave them my 100, they immediately gave me the red stack and I just pushed it right back and I said, no, I want 4 quarters, 4 green because I wanted to play the 4 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I did. I just played the 4 and 10, made $50 profit, colored up, hit breakfast, went on my way to Craft for the Cure. But they assumed that, oh, well, it's just customary. The casino wants me to lose it really quick with a stack of red because they want me to play the props and the
Yeah,
hard ways and stuff like that, or the
exactly.
bonus.
Yeah. Well, and this guy who bought it at the Cromwell, right? He wanted red chips. Why? Because he placed a $10 DC bet, took 10x odds when it traveled. Once that bet cashed, because it did cash eventually, he colored up and left. So, like, to me, right, I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I see this guy taking a $10,000 marker. Like, he's going to be doing something, right? No, he went and took a $10 bet and then put $200 in odds on his um $10 bet. For what? For like, why did you take a $10,000 marker at that point? All you needed was max 310, right? Like you didn't need that much money, but that's
Right.
what he did. And I actually asked the dealers after the fact. I was like, if he would have lost, would he have stayed? Because obviously he was a regular. I mean, all the dealers knew him on a first name basis, and they were like, no, this is what he does. He takes a $10,000 marker, one bet, one odds. If it wins, he leaves. If it loses, he leaves. I was like, okay, but like the marker thing confused me, right? But that's the thing where, and I'm not saying this guy's not experienced. I'm just saying that a large buy-in doesn't necessarily mean anything in the grand scheme of things. One of my buddies with the casino last weekend, guy bought in for 5 grand, didn't know a single bet on the table. Like he literally knew nothing. He was asking the dealers, "What is this bet? What are the payouts on this?" Like he had not a clue what was going on. But again, you see him buy in for 5 grand, and you assume, all right, he probably knows what he's doing, right? You would think. No, this guy, I mean, he had not a clue. Like he was the first time at a craps table, like it was a different language to him.
Some people just want to burn the money. They just want to
Mm-hmm.
see it either win or burn. They don't
Yeah.
care. It's not important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Versus people like us who like our money and enjoy winning it and don't enjoy losing it. But we're not here to burn it at all.
No, exactly.
But that kind of goes into what's the betting style once you've bought in. So this is the behave part of it. Basically once you're in, how you behave with your chips. becomes who you are at the table. Um, are you a presser? Are you a regressor? Are you a flat better? Each of these styles, comes off with confidence or caution or discipline. Um, but even if you're a flat better, does that mean that you're just playing discipline or are you just afraid to press? You don't know that. You can't look at somebody and how they bet and say, oh, well, they don't know what they're doing or, well, they're just a scaredy cat. But you hear people around the table call out people like that. They call out how you're betting. Like, oh, I wouldn't do that. Fuck you. Like, it's my money, motherfucker. Like, why don't you sit over there and lose your own chips? Okay. Don't
Yeah.
worry about where my chips go.
Yep.
But it is about how you behave. But it's also the dealers are adjusting to how you're betting too. Are you an aggressive better? Because aggressive bettors tend to get faster rhythm from a dealer, right? Um, Conservative bettors probably get a little bit more patience. And then, erratic bettors, people are just throwing shit everywhere, are usually getting the side eye from the stick. But then they're also getting the side eye from the pit boss. Because they're just causing, table turbulence or something. And it's just becoming chaotic. But, the good side of it from the player's perspective is, and especially with the AC crew, we have people around the table who are waiting to root for everybody. They're waiting for the bold better. They're waiting for they're trusting the steady betters. Like, oh, this guy always goes inside and he always seems to hit 2 or 3 numbers. They avoid the chaotic people. They see somebody, throwing down a don't bet and then announcing it. They're like, like, shut up. Like, do you have to be that way? And then, like you said before, there's people copying other people because maybe they're not too as familiar on the layout and maybe they haven't been in the casino as much, but they notice that this person, because what is one of the first things that you and I do when we get to a casino craps table? We look at the rails. Who's got money in their rail? Now, is that a bias on our part? Probably, because I don't know if that person just bought in or if that person's been winning the last 3 hours. You would literally
Yep.
have to ask the dealer, how's the table been? Which, some of us in our AC crew, that's the first thing we say to a dealer when we go up to a table. How's it been? If they say it's been cold as hell, we're like, all right, I'm going to take it easy. But
Yep.
if they say, no, it's been hot, 3 ATSs have been hit in the last 4 shooters. You're like, well, shit, let me break out something. But still, you got to read the table. You can't just throw away your money, which we see people do all the time. Even if it's a medium buy-in or if it's a big buy-in, we've seen people burn money. And literally, you just want to turn to them and say, "Hey, pal, instead of making that bet again, do you mind just donating it to my rack because you've lost it 5 times in a row? Like, seriously, stop. Like, it's becoming I'm embarrassed for you that you keep losing that bet, but you won't stop playing it. Well, it's got to hit sometime. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you
Okay.
can see that their behavior is just, it's taking over.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, right? Like the buy-ins that people make and their betting style, again, neither one of them dictate how well you know the game or how little you know the game, right? Like I find it funny sometimes, especially during multipliers, right? I've talked about this where like during multipliers, I play very, very simplistic, right? And I've put out videos on my channel, I put out stuff on how I play during multipliers. It's usually 2 numbers, maybe 3 numbers, right? And to most people, they're going to see that and be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just betting 2 or 3 numbers. Or do I? Do I know what I'm doing? Right? Am I being smart and playing the long game here? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. But some people see it as, well, you don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, on the contrary, you don't know what you're doing by buying in for $300 and going 160 across. You don't know what you're doing because you don't have discipline. You don't have the bankroll management. You don't have any of that kind of stuff. Um, it's definitely true with like the betting styles of people. Dealers take notice to it, right? I mean, dealers know what you're going to do before you even say you're going to do it half the time. If you've been playing for a long enough time at the tables, right? In my local, my dealers, they ask me once. After that, they know what's going. Like they already know. Why? Because I play the same way all the time, right? And if I deviate off that, they take notice to it and they'll even say, oh, Chris, you're not playing the same way today, are you? And I'm like, no, I'm trying something new, or I'm doing this, or no, I'm, wanted to do something different this time, right? But
But more
like
than
my,
likely, what are they doing? They're probably getting dealer bets,
yeah,
which is causing more conversation, but
mm-hmm.
it's all because they've had an interest in you They know what you're betting. It's their job to adapt to the customer and adapt to
Oh
how
yeah.
you're playing. That's what's great about, hey, Chris, the last 5 times you had a world bet, did you want a world bet again? Oh, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
forgot. Great.
Yep.
Put me up, you know.
Yeah. And at that point too, right? They'll even like, and I'm not saying all casinos will do this, but like most, especially like local and stuff for me anyway. And since I do it all the time, like if I don't place that bet and the dealer doesn't remind me, the box will book that bet and pay me on it anyway, even though I didn't have the bet out there because they know I place it all the time, right? Like if it is that world bet on the come out and, I have, I go, line, if I'm playing the ATS, there it is. And like, I don't put the world bet out there for some reason. I typically do, but if for some reason I forget, right, they'll book it for me and they'll be like, I know you forgot this time. Like, try not to let it happen again. I'm like, yeah, I get you. But like you are spot on with the dealer bets, right? It leads to different conversation at the table to the point where it's like I'm at the table by myself with the dealers and everybody else is just like supporting cash. They're just doing whatever they're doing, but like I'm having full conversations with the dealers while I'm playing. When I get the dice, the dealers know, cut the chat. They can like talk to me when the puck's off or whatever or all that kind of stuff, but they know like not to be jibber jabbering when I'm about to throw the dice. Right.
No,
But again,
right.
it comes from the dealer bets, right? And I can't tell you how many times, pretty much every time I've ever had a losing session, the dealers have made money. Why? Because I'm still tipping them even though I'm having a losing session. It's just how I play, right? And just because I'm losing doesn't mean that they're losing, right? Dealers are never going to lose. Why? Because any bet that I put out there that hits for them, they're instantly winning. Okay, now they might have been winning much because I'm definitely not going to be pressing their tips as much, let's say. When I'm hot and I'm playing and somebody's a hot shooter and I'm at the table, those bets are getting pressed up, right? I mean, you've been on the table with it. We've had the dealers at 66 inside before.
It's fun. And I'm not a fan either of just giving a dealer a tip. Like at the end when you color up, yeah. But during the session, I don't like just giving them a tip. They want to. They're gamblers too. They want to play
Oh
it.
yeah.
They want to bet it. Now, if I'm doing a certain system, remember when I told you about a couple of weeks ago when I told you about the comeback where I had to just go 66 inside up to 110, back down to 66 side, and back up to 110, and then just rinse and repeat. Now, because of that, I was making the dealer work more. So when every time they did that, I did throw them $1. But what did they do? They didn't just take it and knock it on the table. They put it on a hard way. They put it on a horn number. Like they were in it with me and were rooting for me to make a comeback.
Oh yeah.
That's what you
It's
want out of a dealer, right?
100%. Yeah, it's funny that you brought that up because you can't be more spot on with the dealers want to play too. And there's been this debate between a lot of different people for a long time about do you just hand the dealers money and they drop it, or do you play the bet for them? Because if they drop the money, that goes directly to them, right? If you play a bet for them and it doesn't win, that goes back to the casino. So they're not making any money off of it. I've never in my life, and I've been gambling at a lot of casinos, right? Never seen a dealer take that money and I tell them, "Oh, do what you want with it," they never drop it. Never. Okay. They always put it on some bet. Or they tell you, like, no, I don't want, or I've been in the instance where I've told them to drop it before. And they're like, I don't want to drop it. Like, I want to play. But I'm like, all right, fine. Like it happened last time I was in at Harris in Atlantic City, right? Me and the blackjack dealer, great rapport between the two of us. We're having a great session. Right now, I wasn't winning. I was losing a lot, actually. I did end up bringing back and winning to end the session. But I hit some blackjacks, I had some red chips, right? When I hit a blackjack and I have those red chips, I usually throw them to the dealer because I'm playing at the quarter level. I don't need the red chips, right? If I'm not playing the bonus bets on the side, I don't need red chips for anything, so I throw them to the dealer usually. Now, in this instance, I threw it to the dealer and said, "Here you go." And she literally slid it back to me and puts it down on the hand where you place your dealer bet in front of your hand. And I was like, "Oh, no, that's for you. I have another one, to play for you." And she goes, "No, no, no." She goes, "I'm playing." She goes, "You can play that one on the next hand." I'm like, "All right, fine." Well, in that instance, she actually ended up doubling her money because I won the next two hands, right? So she made more money. But
Nice.
it was one of those instances where I literally told her to drop it, and she said, "Play it." I'm like, "All right, you want to
Well,
play it?"
but we've seen it before because your betting style, not only are they adapting, but when you throw down a dealer bet and just say, play what you want, because that's what I'll usually do. I'll usually drop the money like in the come section. I'll say, just play what you want. They'll play along with me with how I'm betting. So if I'm doing 6-6 inside and the hard ways, if I throw like the stick a chip, the stick goes up into the hard ways with me. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very fun to hit that bet and know that they won too. Because there's like elbows. You're like, I told you it was going to hit. We all made money. All right, because that's the whole point. We all made money.
Yeah. It's funny. There was an instance at my local of that exact thing, right? Where it was a come out sequence with multiple come out sevens. And I kept resetting the ATS, right? And it wasn't me shooting, it was somebody else shooting. But obviously, we all know my come out game at this point. So like to me, it's not a loss, right? I get paid on my line, my world's a push, the line bet covers the ATS. And I wasn't gonna go back up on the ATS. I wasn't gonna do it. Because at this point, it was just this person kept throwing sevens and they weren't setting the dice or anything, really. They were kind of, but not really. So I was like, whatever, screw the ATS, I'm not gonna play it. Right. And the one dealer, his name is Chris, believe it or not, same name, great name.
Certainly, Chris's.
He goes, you're not playing the ATS this time? I was like, nah, just too many come out sevens. I'm not playing it. He goes, why? He goes, play it. I was like, I don't want to play it. And he goes, just play it. He goes, you've been playing it all night, play it. I'm like, all right, fine. So I play it. And I say, you know what? Since I play it, here you go. 2-1-2 for the dealers, right? I haven't been putting the dealers. I only put the dealers on the ATS when I'm shooting. I don't put them on there when other people are shooting, right? So I go, I 5-5-5. Here's your 2-1-2. Knock yourself out. Well, shit, does that person not go on and hit the ATS? But it was one of those instances where the dealers, pointing at me and they're doing all this stuff and they're like, you just got us paid, right? Because I mean, they got paid. What they get? 175 and 140, whatever that adds up to 315, whatever it is. I think something like
Yeah.
that. 315, close
We'll
enough.
take
Whatever.
we'll take a girl math for it.
I'll take my girl math for it. And they were thrilled. And I was like, yeah, guys, good for you. But again, in that instance, I wasn't even going to play the bet. So like, I felt that I should put them up on it. But then that whole experience of rooting for it with them, because they were on it, right? Do they want to see it hit normally for other players? Of course, because that probably means they're going to get more tips. But when they're on it too, or do they want to see that shit hit? Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, 100%. So let's steer the conversation over to how you think, at the table, because what you tell yourself before the table tells you anything. You tell yourself your mindset has to be set with: are you leading with your session or are you going to be reacting to it? It's expectation versus reality. How your buying and betting styles shape how you're gonna do that day. What kind of better are you going to be? Um, Obviously, you have to corral your emotions, right? Are you playing on your plan or are you playing on your feelings? And then I would also say probably, how quickly are you seeing players abandon their style after one bad roll?
Yep.
The more confidence a player has while playing, the table treats them better. They play better. The table treats them better again.
I agree 100%. And I'm just going to get this out of the way now. All right. Craig and I are not talking about the quote unquote right way to bet and the wrong way to bet. All right. Because first of all, I hate that. All right. I hate when
Right.
people call right and wrong betting. All right. There's no such thing as right and wrong betting. The only thing that is wrong betting is when you bet outside of your bankroll and you're an idiot. That's the only thing that's wrong betting. All right. Betting the don'ts is not wrong. You may not agree with it. You may not like it, but it's not wrong. Okay. You can't just go call people wrong because you don't agree with them. It's not, they're wrong in your opinion, but they're not wrong. All right. So get that through your heads, people. But for like betting, right? And like the betting styles and how the table may perceive you and treat you, it comes down to a couple different things for me, right? Are you going to play conservative or are you going to be aggressive, right? The conservative better, usually people are, oh, this guy's disciplined. We don't want to mess with him. We don't want to leave. We don't want to, talk to him. Just leave him alone, right? If you're, an aggressive better with some large pressing and whatever, other people are going to take notice. They're going to, oh, I wish I could do that. Or, what was that move you did? Like, I need to see that one out. And like, people get more attention when you bet more aggressively, right? Now, is that good or bad? Well, that's up to you. Hopefully you're winning. Um, if that's the case, you're betting aggressively, right? But you also made a really good point with the emotions, okay? Because there's an emotional bettor and just the status quo calm player, right? Sometimes you get the people who are hooting and hollering for every damn bet on the table. Like, congratulations, you won $5. Whoop-de-doo, right? Like, I mean, you would think they won the lottery. There are also the people who are going to yell at the shooter when they throw a 7. Okay. Or they're going to yell at the shooter for other reasons. They're going to complain about their losses. Calm players, nothing really affects them. And that's where you want to be, right? I'm not saying you can't get excited. Okay. We all get excited, right? Craig hits a 5-point fire bet. Don't you worry. DJ's running around and clapping for him. And I'll go give him a high five after the roll. Okay.
Right.
But you're also not going to see me sit there when Craig throws a PSO and I'm going to sit there and be like, Craig, you suck. You should never sit on a table with me ever again. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I'm calm. People need to embrace being more calm at the tables. Again, nothing wrong with getting excited when bets hit and stuff. You got a pressed up 6 and that shit hits. Great. But you don't have to celebrate your $15 5 that hit. All right. Like, it's really not that impressive. Trust me.
It's your moment to moment decision making that, can make or break your session. It's your bet size, it's your timing, it's your ability to pivot, your discipline. All that factors in. How many times have we seen decision fatigue at the table? You see players just unravel after a half hour, 45 minutes in, and they just like, what are you doing? Like, you just went from playing 6-8 to asking the dealer for your 10th horn bet, and it's not even a come out roll. Like, and the person's setting their dice and they've been hitting inside numbers, and you want to go on a horn rampage and there aren't any horns rolling. Like, you have to be making those decisions. And where's the discipline gap? Most players don't lose because of bad luck. They lose because of bad decisions under emotional pressure. Where's your reset button? Can you reclaim, who you are mid-session? Can you pivot? Chris and I have talked about, okay, you've been playing for a while. It's like mid-roll. If somebody went on a heater, the next person went on a cold, next person went on a heater. Okay, where's your bankroll now? Is your bankroll is your buy-in intact, or do you even not know what you have in your rail? Like, where's your self-assessment in the middle of a session? And especially if you're on a trip and you're playing 3 sessions a day, you got to have that discipline to kind of just back yourself away for a second. Maybe 3 shooters have gone by. Maybe it's been up and down, roller coastery. Like, am I making money? Is my buy-in intact? Have I made any profit? Because if you hadn't made any profit yet after 3-4 shooters, what are you doing? Are you pivoting? Or are you just going to stick with, well, I learned this strategy on YouTube. It just said it was the most winningest strategy, and so I'm just going to keep playing it. Yeah, well, so far, you bought in for 1,000, and you look like you got like 273 in your rail. Like, you're not winning, pal.
Nope.
Where's your decision making?
It's true. It's like that's the thing that I think a lot of people struggle with at the tables is the decision making is the one thing, and then it's like, do you want to be, let's say, respected at the table or admired at the table, or do you want to be the flashy one who's got to have all the attention, right? I forget who said it. Somebody said it with the speak softly and carry a big stick or whatever that saying
That was
is.
Teddy Roosevelt. That was Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt. See, this is why I know Craig would have known. So I know the quote. Couldn't tell you who said it. Now I can tell you it was good old Theodore. Theodore said it. But you should be the same way to tables, right? Like, in my opinion, speak softly, right? Let your bets do the talking, right? Let how you play do the talking, right? You don't have to do the talking. You don't have to be the flashy one. There's no need to be the flashy one, right? Because when you start getting flashy, I can tell you one thing, your ego starts taking over. And you know what your ego is going to overweigh? Your emotions, right? Because you start thinking, I'm invincible and I can do whatever I want and I can do this and I can do that. The dice will humble you very, very quickly. A deck of cards will humble you very, very quickly. So be the calm player. Don't be the emotional player, and let your bets and your style of betting go along with the way you are playing, right? You can't be betting outside your bankroll. You can't be looking for those horn bets just because you need something flashy to hit. All right. The only thing that's going to be flashy is the zeros that are going to be showing up when you color up for nothing after the session. Because chasing that horn streak or chasing whatever you're going to chase, it's not going to be good for you long term. Again, sure, it's flashy, but your emotions are taking over at that point, and you want to be emotionless when you're gambling.
So this happened at my local casino last Friday. I had started with a 6 and 8. I got it built up to a 66 inside. And you want to earn a little bit of respect from the dealer. Surprise him. So I did 66 inside. Guy was rolling through a 3. Something in my gut told me turn him off. Turn him off. Not because I always turn, because I usually don't turn my bets off on a ace deuce or a yo. I will on aces and midnight. But this was an ace deuce, and I was like, my gut's telling me to turn him off. So I turned him off. Next roll, 7. Dealer looks up to me and says, gave me a fist. He's like, nice job. Because everybody else lost their money at that. I
Yeah.
was the only one to turn him off. So, that's you have to make the right decisions based off of what you feel, what you're reading at the table. And, you know, when they say trust your gut, it's for a reason.
Yep.
Your gut may fail you occasionally, but for the most part, your gut's pretty true to steering you in the right direction.
Like, I can't tell you how many times my gut has actually saved me at the tables, right? Like, and I know some people be like, oh, well, you would have missed out on a payment. Okay, fine. I would have missed out on one payment. Just so you're aware, I needed 4 to cover what I had out there. So, yeah, whoop-de-doo. I missed the one payment, right? But you have to be able to listen to your gut, like you said. Like, don't worry about people thinking you're superstitious. All right. Superstitions or whatever they are, right? We all have them. But in the moment, if you feel that you need to turn your bets off like you did, or there's something that's going on at the table that says, oh, I should turn my bets off, turn them off, right? Or if you're the person who's sitting there thinking, I just need, that one more hit, right? Like, shooter's having a great roll. I just want one more payment. I'm going to turn my bets off. Turn them off then and now. Don't wait for that one more hit. Because I can't tell you how many times when you start thinking, I'm going to turn them off after one more hit, that hit never comes.
Well, here's what's funny. You tell them to, turn them off because a turned off bet is a bet that doesn't lose. Now,
Yes.
DJ and I, he'll agree with me that when we turn our bets off, do we stop playing the game? No. I will put a world bet out there because if a 7 does come and wipes everybody else out, guess what? It's a push. I don't lose my world bet and I still have my money on the table because I turned them off. You got to learn from experience how to play the game. What's the table doing? Was that a smart move? Sure, I could have put a quarter down a world bet, and guess what? A 6 happened. Okay, I don't get paid on the 6, and I lose the world bet. So what? I lost $25. But I was already going into my session knowing I was going to play a world bet, and I already planned out that anytime I turn off a bet, I'm either going to play the field or the horn or the world bet. Like I already planned I was going to do that. But that's a decision
Yep.
you have to make before you walk through the door. A lot of people make decisions right then and there, and they're usually the wrong decisions. And that's why they walk away with they're not full of chips. But
That's
what can
true.
keep you full of chips, Chris?
What can keep me full of chips?
The top 5.
The top 5. All right, it is time for the top 5. And Craig, our top 5 today is the top 5 reasons life and gambling are basically the same rigged game.
Yeah.
I
That
like
it
that
happens.
one.
It
It
happens, man.
happens.
Uh,
It's
they
I think it's
they
very on theme with the topics we've discussed tonight too.
they mirror each other a lot sometimes, right? Yeah.
Shout out Craig for the planning on this one.
All right. You want to start or you want me to start?
Over to you, sir. You start us
All right.
off.
He serves it over to me. All right, my top 5. Here's my number 5 of reasons life and gambling are basically the same. Rigged game is the rules are posted, but not the ones that matter. Life gives you a handbook full of shoulds. Casinos give you a felt layout full of options. Neither tells you the real rules, the ones whispered by experiences and pain, and that one guy at the table who's clearly been through it. You learn the truth only after you've already paid tuition.
There you go. I like that one. I like that one. Uh, my number 5 is the loss of belief in your own actions. People think that their actions don't matter. At the casino, they think the dice will do what they're going to do. The cards are going to come the way they're going to come. In life, somebody might say, no matter what I do, nothing's going to change. And once that belief sets in, doesn't matter if it's life, gambling, it feels like everything is a predetermined outcome rather than systems with probabilities and choices.
You got to be a believer, man. You got to be a
Gotta
believer.
be a believer. All right, Craig, number 4.
Number 4, everyone pretends they're in control. You plan, you visualize, you play out that session, then the dice hit a chip, bounce sideways, and ruin your whole thought process. Life works the same way. You can do everything right and still get blindsided by a rogue 7-out moment.
There you go. I like that one. My number 4 is the horrific run of bad runs and bad timing. Life, casinos, either one, sometimes multiple sessions stack up and they seem to be losing sessions. Seem to be that you just can't get anything going when you're at the casino. Same thing in life. Life events happen, right? It just seems like it's a cluster of negative events. And you sit there and you wonder, when is it going to get better? Because all it seems like is you have external forces working against you, and nothing you do can change that.
Why is it when you do your taxes or when you think it's tax time and you're like, you're getting money back and you're like, all right, we're going to plan our next vacation. And then every single time you file your taxes is the exact same time one of your appliances go up. Why?
Facts.
Fact.
Listen, so I have an irrational fear with taxes and owing money to the IRS or anything like that. So I try to always do them early. Now, I won't say that I do them early because last year I think I submitted them the weekend before they were due. But I try to get my taxes done with a couple weeks to spare, which if you don't know me, you should know that is a huge accomplishment because DGen is the ultimate procrastinator and there's nobody better. I can guarantee you of that. If procrastination was a degree in college, I would have written the materials for it. Anyway,
100%.
it feels like every time that I see that tax return, right, I'm filing them and I'm like, getting this money back. It's already spent. And not on something that I want it to be spent on. Like you said, an appliance breaks or my car breaks down or something happens that I gotta go spend this damn money on that I could have used for a vacation or I could have used it for something else. But no, I gotta go adult, right, and go pay for something that broke or needs to be fixed.
I guess in March when they say beware the Ides of March, they were talking about appliances and cars and things breaking down during the winter. I guess that's what they were
I
talking
think
about.
so. That's my tax returns gotta go to a refrigerator that needs to be fixed.
100%.
Oh,
All right.
miserable.
My number 3, because life it's rigged, man. The highs are rare, but they keep you hooked. So both life and gambling sprinkle in just enough magic, one heater, one promotion, one perfect moment to convince you the universe might be on your side. That tiny hint of hope, that's the real house edge.
There you go. My number 3 is everybody's lucky and you are shit out of luck. You compare yourself to everybody else. You think that they are just get lucky and you couldn't get lucky if you were standing under the leprechaun's rainbow. Someone at the tables having a great roll, you're not on it. As soon as you get on the table, bad rolls. In life, someone gets promoted, you don't. You think they're lucky, maybe they earned that promotion, maybe the rolls were bad before you got there. You don't know, but you just assume that when good things happen to other people, it's luck, and for you, you're shit out of luck.
That goes along with when we were talking about why it seems like people win all the time. It's not that they win all the time. It's that they have all the tools in their gambling toolkit that you don't possess yet.
Yep. All right,
All
number
right.
2.
Number 2, you're surrounded by people who swear you know the secret. In casinos, always bet the don't. Never bet the don't. Trust me, I've got a system. In life, follow your passion. Don't follow your passion. Trust me, I've got a system. Everyone's an expert until the dice roll.
There you go. My number 2 is misunderstanding randomness and misunderstanding how brutal randomness can be, right? In gambling, the best bets can lose because you're in a variant or you're experiencing variance at the tables. In life, hard work doesn't necessarily guarantee immediate success. If you're looking for fairness or good events to come in the short term, that randomness can feel like a manipulation, and you wonder, why am I even bothering to do what I'm doing?
I like that. You had to say the word fair there, didn't you?
Oh,
Because
did I?
number one, the game isn't fair, but you still show up. You know the odds aren't in your favor. You know the house always wins eventually, and yet you keep stepping up because sometimes the point isn't beating the game, it's proving to yourself that you're still willing to play.
There you go. I like that one. My number one is the selective memory of losing. People always remember painful losses more than those small, quiet wins. We say it all the time. Loss at the casino feels way worse than a couple small wins. Um, when you're gambling, right, you know that brutal streak that you're having. That's what's going to stick in your head, not the fact that you may have won a couple bucks for the past 7 sessions, but that one loss is going to eat at you. In life, you get maybe rejected from a job, you don't get promoted, financial setbacks, missed opportunities. You feel like it's just unfair towards you. Over time, that brain of yours just keeps building the narrative. I keep doing the right thing and I'm still losing.
Facts. Facts. We
Yes.
preach the facts on the FOC.
This was kind of deep. Like, this top 5 is like life
Why do you
advice
think-
with DGen and OBC.
Why do you think we do this?
Well, I mean, why? Like, literally, why? Who would have thought? You come to this podcast for either, there's 2 reasons, I guess. One, you just happen to stumble upon it and you're like, let me see what these 2 clowns have to say. Or you actually are into gambling and you're like, oh, let me see what these 2 clowns have to say. But then you just get smacked with like life advice, and now you're like sitting here contemplating, like, do I need to do something different? Like, what's going on?
And then you realize, no, I just need to go to the casino.
Yeah. Oh my, who would have thought? Life advice with DGen and Craig. It's great. It's great. We give relationship advice sometimes. We give I'm not gonna say financial advice because we're not financial advisors, so we don't give financial advice. But Craig, we always do give at least one pointed advice in the tip of the episode. So what is our tip of the episode?
We do. And this one kind of goes with exactly what we've been talking about tonight. This is decide before you play, not while you're playing. So what do we mean? Make your decisions before the chips hit the felt. Not during the chaos, not after a bad roll, not when your emotions start negotiating with your discipline. Look, 1, emotion is the house edge, okay? Your clearest decisions happen before you even sit down. And a plan you commit to will always beat whatever feeling hits you mid-play. Trust us. We talk about it all the time. We've been talking about it since we started the podcast. It's about your plan. What's your plan of action? Set your limits, bets, and walk away rules in advance. Then honor the calm version of yourself instead of that chaotic one that always, when the moment comes, you just want to blow half your stack.
Love that tip. Love that tip. Because we do talk about it a lot, right? Your plan is everything, right? Because some people think that when they go to the casino and they're playing, like, that's everything. No, that's you executing the plan that you went into the casino with, right? If you're a coach, right, you game plan, you plan for the game, right? The execution happens, but it's based off of planning, right? Same thing with a lot of different things in life, right? If you're trying to fly by the seat of your pants and you're not planning, more often than not, those things are not going to work out too well for you. So make sure, like Craig said, you decide before you play, not while you're playing. Set yourself a good foundation with a good plan, whether it be for the casino or for something else in life. The plan is your currency, all right? That's what's your currency in the whole thing. You may think, oh no, when the money that I put down on my table is the currency. Sure, it's a form of currency, but the plan is what is going to actually set you up for success. And make sure that you have thought through the plan, and you may have some deviations of the plan or whatever it may be, because the best forged plans can go wrong. So make sure you have some sort of way to deviate off that, to reset to whatever, because that will be your success and that will set you up for success. Great episode 33, Craig.
Hey, you know what else is set to go up for success, Chris? Finding where we can be watched, finding where we can be listened to, How can we go about that?
I'm glad you asked that question. It's a great question. You can find us. Email fullofchipspodcast@gmail.com. Full-length versions of the Full of Chips podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and short-form content on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And don't forget the Patreon. You can go join the Patreon. It's free. It's not going to cost you anything. All right. There's some extra stuff that will be posted in there. Once more people start to join the Patreon, we'll really start getting active in there. But there may be some behind the scenes content that we don't put on the podcast. Maybe we'll find it there. So go check us out there. Craig, take us out on episode Double DGen or whoever on the Orioles you said before. I forget the name. I'm sorry. I'm old.
Eddie Murray.
Sure, Eddie Murray. I told you at the beginning of this podcast, I'm not a baseball fan. I don't like baseball.
I got to finish this first. All right. And that's your house edge. So stay sharp, stay steady, stay full of chip.
On the